Hey, Rex here at RW Mods. Today we're going to look at this Novarossi Truggy 28.8 engine. I actually ordered these for myself. I ordered two of them. I originally ordered 28.7 and 28.8, and I was going to pick which one I liked. I got a speed run project that I was going to do, and I chose a 28.8. I know an on-road engine would have more RPM, and some guys like those for speed runs. But I'm going for just brute power. I'm going to gear it up a little bit more, and maybe not run quite as much RPM. So that might be hopefully hopefully it works out. My first goal when I bought the car a few years ago was to break 100 miles an hour with the nitro. So we'll take a look at this engine. In the box, we just have instructions and exploded view. Engine does not come with any other extra restrictors. A 6.5 in the engine, a couple washers. I think those might be washers that fit on the needle. I'm not sure. That's what it kind of looks like. So, engine has some nice engraving on it. Pretty standard Novarossi block. Carb. We'll look at that when we take it off. Does not have the spray bar needle or the third needle. And this, if I remember correctly, Jim Hottinger that had Hot Mods kind of originally came out with this 8-port. He used to import some Novarossi engines with his name on it, kind of Hot Mods engines. And I think this one was actually kind of his design. He had them made by Novarossi, but he no longer is in business, and so we'll take a look at the insides of this, pull it apart. So we got the head off it and the back plate screws off it. One thing I did forget to mention is this engine is $219 on the Novarossi Direct website. When I just looked, they did have that 28.7 still showing, as you could purchase it. I did hear from a reliable source that Novarossi is changing their the distributors, and I believe Novarossi Direct is selling out their inventory and will no longer be getting new engines. I did hear also that some of the stuff shows in stock and you can order it, but then they, just like what happened to me, the 28.7, I was able to order it, but then they did not have it in stock. So it might actually be best to message them first before you place an order to make sure they have it in stock. So we'll see what happens with Novarossi in the future. For me, it's been kind of I've been doing a lot of reviews on Novarossi engines and such, but I do think that the Novarossi distributor, there's more than one, but the low prices that Novorossi's been selling in the States has made an impact in other engines, other engine brands. For instance, someone that's not sponsored can buy an engine basically at dealer cost. I've seen engines as low as $130 or $134, and it's hard to sell a $200 engine if someone can go buy a Novarossi. They're good quality, so it's hard for someone that sells a $200 engine to sell many engines if you can go out and buy a cheaper engine that's just as good or maybe even better in some cases. So it did kind of change the way and how many engines were sold of different brands. So Now to get back to it, I got the back plate screws out, got the piston up. Just make sure the piston's up when you pull the back plate off. I got head button came off pretty easy. I got the carb screw loose too. Take that off. Try and get this sleeve out. Piston came off pretty easy. Now to get the crank out. Yeah, I had to go tap on something other than this tabletop here to just get the crank out. I usually will just kind of give it a little tap there. Once it kind of broke free, it came out pretty nice. So we got a steel rear bearing. Not sure in the front. This looks like kind of more of a generic front bearing. It's not the good double sealed one. Going to the head, it like I said before, it does have some nice engraving. Looks pretty good. Some nice cuts. It is kind of a in-between head, where it's set down a little bit, and when you're exchanging, if you're trying to head from a different engine and stuff, it does need this little bit, this cutter on this first fin was cut off from the factory for that head to sit down, and then if you had like the lower head, the even lower head has to be machined even down farther. So this is a 14 millimeter crank, so this would take the 14 by 25.8 rear bearing. You notice like some of the other 21s in the higher end engines, it's not drilled out from the factory. But it's pretty good quality crank. The Novarossis are known for having a good materials and a good heat treat. I don't know why my GoPro keeps turning off on me. But looking at the sleeve here, it's 8 ports, 3-port exhaust. One thing about a lot of different, in most brands, 28 engines, the sleeves are a little thinner when you go up to the 26, 28. They're more prone to warping if you get them hot. Might not hold a pinch quite as long. I don't know. I don't really think that's the case, but they are a little bit different when you do have to resize the sleeve on a rebuild. But all in all, I think this is a pretty good design. Back plate, nothing really different there. Piston, you'll notice it's a pretty good sized piston. Rod is not marked. Can't remember if the 28s have that or not, but it's a 32 millimeter long rod is usually what they run on these. Head button, pretty good sized chamber on this. I think that's a CT6 number 6 plug. So all in all, it's pretty much about what I expected on these. The cranks do have a little bit different weight design. It's a little more beefy on this side, which is good. One thing, when you get in the 28s of any brand, the pistons are bigger. And the crank, you can tell by looking at this crank, it's maybe got a little more crank weight, but not a ton more than a 21. So this rod's longer. The piston's a little bigger diameter. So I think Um, I've heard of some engines, like on a dyno. I don't have a dyno, but I've heard of some engines, especially the Pico, really vibrating. You get a certain RPM on the dyno, and it just kind of shakes, and it won't even pull any farther because it's basically just shaking so much. It's cutting using all its power just to get out of the shake and stuff. So I think it's important to balance a 28 a little bit better. And I guess we didn't look at the carb. It is a long low speed needle, so pretty standard Novarossi carb. I would change out that 6.5 restrictor if you're going for power. I don't know why they would use a 6.5 in a big engine. Somebody, you obviously want power if you got a 28. I do have a couple. Like I said, I ordered 2 of these. I'm working on the other one currently. So I have this crank's about 90% done. I did drill out the crank to lighten it up, and then I haven't filled it yet. I also did. I've done this a couple years ago, but I haven't done it a whole lot. Is to add a tungsten weight. This is my speed run engine, the one I'm modifying here, and I'm going to be running RPM for quite a long time, maybe 15-20 seconds. I'm not sure. So I was worried about the balance with the heavier piston and running 30,000 plus RPM. So I did put a tungsten weight in. I don't do this really for customers. For one, I don't want the weight to come out and cause damage and owe a guy an engine. It is a lot of work, and if it's my own engine and I spend quite a bit of time on it, then it's fine. But I don't really. It's hard to charge someone like double for a mod, for just adding a slug and stuff. So it's not something I plan on doing in the future, really. But it's more of a test for me. I know it really helped this engine. And then I do have the backplate also done. Finished that up today for the one. This is my speed run backplate for my speed run engine. I did go a little bit bigger holes than I do on the 21s. So and I'll go get a scale. I haven't weighed this yet, but I was just curious which crank is lighter. This one has the slug. So 45 grams for the drilled one. Oh wait, that's the stock one. 45 grams for the stock one. We'll see how much this drilled one is. I do have to add silicone yet. So 3 grams lighter. It does have the little extra weight from the carbide slug there. So all in all, I guess people looking for basher engines are talking a lot about the LRP 32. I did a review on that, and I have always said that you're better off spending a little extra money and getting an Novarossi. I don't see many Picos around. I don't think anyone. There is a Pico distributor in the U.S., but I don't think they have a 28. The Pico 28 was good for bashing. A lot of guys like pull starts, in the Savages or this and that. And if you can use a starter box, I recommend a starter box. But I think this is a much better option than an LRP 32 or even a SH28 and some of them they're okay, but they aren't going to last nearly as long as this engine. The rods aren't as beefy, the cranks aren't as hard. My biggest thing with the LRPs is actually, if you look at the crank, they got the big cuts on the crank that take away a lot of crank weight, and they got to just at a certain RPM just vibrate the heck out of them. So stay tuned for my speed run. Hopefully in the next month or so we get it out on the road, do some testing. Maybe later this week I'll go through the car and stuff and just kind of the things I have to do to change it. So So we're going to go through the numbers on this Novarossi 28.8. The blowdown is 49. Now that's the degrees between the intake, like a transfer port, and the exhaust port. So 49 degrees, and that's actually pretty good. I like to be 45 and above. And it's a little different with a 28 because you got a lot of torque from the 28 just cubic inch wise. So I think raising the exhaust port a little bit on that kind of helps with the top end, maybe takes away a little bottom end so you don't overpower the bottom. Induction open at 146 is a little shy of what I'd like, but it's actually pretty good. And the closing is actually closer at 62. I'll probably only go just a couple more degrees on that. So in the 150s with open for a total of 208, which is actually pretty good. Probably going to open it up to maybe 220 or so. So that's actually pretty good. I did forget to mention, since I ordered 2 of these engines, I'm going to be modifying the second one. I'll be modifying this one. This one's my engine. I'll be modifying this engine that I just did the review on, and it'll be similar to what I am putting in my speed run, minus the weight on the crank and stuff. So I'm going to be selling this engine. I think right at, I'll do a backplate mod on it, so it'll be like an $80 mod on it. So I'm looking at getting about $290 for it modified. So if you guys want to message me, first one to say they want it, I'll finish modifying it and get it out to you. So let me know on that, and thanks for watching.